the Economic Development and Innovation Committee. Our meeting today is going to focus on our local alliance partners and provide some information to our committee on partnerships, goals, and projects that promote economic development in our city. To kick things off, I'm going to do a real quick introduction of the members of our committee, just for folks who are joining the meeting or anyone watching. I'm Jonathan Melton. I'm an at-large council member. I was elected to city council citywide in 2019. Council member Knight was elected in 2019 as well, and he represents District E. Mayor Pro Tem Branch represents District C and was elected in 2015. And Mayor Marianne Baldwin is a former 10-year at-large council member who, after a very brief break from city government, was elected mayor in 2019. And with that, I'm going to turn things over to either Jim Green or Veronica Creech to start the program.
Council Member Melton, good afternoon, and Mayor and other council members, thank you all for being here today. I'm very excited about this committee meeting. Mr. Melton, you will remember, I think it was probably January, February timeframe. This was the first committee meeting that we discussed with you, an opportunity for us to highlight some of our economic development partners. And the goal was to be in one room and be able to have an interactive discussion. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, we put the meeting off several months and then decided, let's go ahead and have this virtually. So excited about being here today and looking forward to hearing the conversation. Just to let the committee members know, no decisions expected today. This is a meeting really to provide information and share thoughts and ideas with the council committee. We've said many times that economic development in Raleigh and Wake County is a team sport, and you're going to hear that today loud and clear with our effective alliance partners. So with that, let me turn it over to Veronica Creech, our Manager of Economic Development. Veronica has done a great job of coordinating this session and works closely with the alliances. So Veronica, I'll turn it over to you.
Great, thank you, Jim. Chairman Melton, Mayor Baldwin, Mayor Pro Tem Branch, and Councilmember Knight, thank you for the invitation for the Office of ED&I and our partners to join today's committee meeting. As you're all well aware, and Jim touched on, the depth and breadth of economic development can only be achieved through strategic partnerships, building frameworks for workforce development, entrepreneurship, innovation, business retention and expansion, equitable economic development, wealth building, and attracting headquarters. Very broad and deep body of work. Hyperlocal economic development, including solopreneurs and Main Street businesses, all the way to international attraction, with more than 700 international companies across our region, are all a part of the Office of ED&I and our partners. Today's economic development partners are our Raleigh business alliances. These are the area's most in-tuned leaders who support innovation, often serving as site selectors, realtors, and even counselors to those striving to hang their own shingles. The Office of ED&I in the city supports these champions in a myriad of ways, including hosting weekly alliance calls, marketing communications, funding when possible, megaphone partners, and resource convening. On the topic of marketing communications, I hope you've had a chance to read our third Office of ED&I annual report released earlier this month. The success and content captured in this report could not be possible without the work of our business alliances. More can be learned about our alliances on the City of Raleigh's website. And Derek will walk us through these pages. First, under the departments, you will see the Office of ED&I, followed by these green tiles. And the tiles showcase the various bodies of work and support we lead, including business alliances. And there they are in the second tile. On that page, you'll see an overview of our members, a service map that's loading now, and an option to drill down further to learn more about each alliance. We invite you to take a tour of the ED&I pages, and please let us know if you have any questions or if there's anything we can help you navigate as you learn more about the depth and breadth of the work that we lead here in the Office of Economic Development and Innovation. As for today's conversation, and Derek is still showing you the various alliances you'll hear from today, and that map shows you that we have coverage across our entire city, as well as alliances that focus on real specific geographies. And through our GIS department, we were able to pull this map together. It's interactive. You can really drill down and see what areas have alliances and where we could grow our efforts. Thank you, Derek. And then for today's conversation, each alliance will take 3 minutes to share a brief overview of their organization. I will then moderate 3 questions for the alliances, check in with the committee to see if you have any response or questions or communications. Then that'll be followed by Mark Weldon from our team, moderating 2 questions posed by the committee. We'll then turn the agenda over to Chairman Melton for further dialogue. And before I pass the invitation over, let me just check. Has Johnny Hackett been able to join us?
Yes, I am here. Good morning, everyone.
Hey, Johnny, glad you're with us. And with that, Johnny, if you're in a good place, I'd like to kick it over to you to start our introductions. Johnny Hackett with Black Dollar.
Yeah, sure thing. So good morning, everyone. Good morning, Mayor Baldwin, Mayor Pro Tem Branch, fellow council members. My name is Johnny Hackett. I'm joined here by my colleague, Kayla Walker. You probably can't see on the video, but we represent our company, Black Dollar NC. We are a Black-owned business directory for the state of North Carolina, concentrated in the city of Raleigh. And in addition to that, we really focus on entrepreneurs that don't have physical space to sell their products of all backgrounds. So we're just excited to have gone through this work this year with the alliances and Veronica's team here. And as one of the newer alliances, this group has definitely been valuable to us in terms of, collaborating with us, making sure that we're in the loop with certain pieces of information, and just have supported us all the way. So these alliances work, and we're just glad to be a part of it. Looking forward to the future and more work with this group. So I think next on the list is Pat Boyle. Who's next?
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Pat Boyle. I am the Executive Director of Cameron Village Merchants Association. And just like Johnny is one of the new ones, I guess we're kind of like the old ones. The association was formed in 1949, the same year Cameron Village came into existence. And for those math challenged, that makes us 71 years old. Not me, okay? The association. But when it comes to shopping venues, the Cameron Village Merchants Association is a unique item. The organization really doesn't exist many places. It's independent, it's merchant run, merchant directed, and merchant member and owner funded. It's a powerful entity that helps shape the direction and the experience of Cameron Village. We basically operate under 4 different tenets. Cameron Village is a Raleigh tradition, an urban oasis. It's very independent spirited, and it's always in style. And we are very enthusiastic partners in our community. We provide fundraising opportunities, visibility, and we really work to support local charities. For example, in 2019, we partnered with the Community Music School. And through a partnership with our 70th anniversary event, Come Play With Us, Community Music School raised $50,000. On the other side, we have over a 10-year partnership with the Boys and Girls Club of Wake County. Every year we collect holiday gifts for all their clubs in Wake County. The association provides marketing efforts, center-wide events, a wide digital presence, community partnerships, and education and support for our members. Historically, our most attended event with the longest standing history has been open house. Well, that's the night. In prior years, we would open our doors and bring a little bit of Cirque du Soleil to the community, all at no cost to them. Well, that's going to change a bit this year because we're going to be COVID smart, and we'll still be offering the community an opportunity to welcome in the holiday season, but just different as we've done it in past years. Every day we support and advocate for our members, the shopping center, while engaging current and prospective guests all the time. And that's Cameron Village Merchants Association. And now I get the pleasure to turn it over to David Clapier, the kingpin of 5 Points.
Thanks, Pat. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, Mayor Baldwin and the distinguished council members. I'm David Clapier, and I'm the point man for the 5 Points Business District Association. We are formed in 2016, and we support about 60 dining, retail, service, entertainment, and professional businesses, including about 30% disadvantaged and women-owned businesses here. And they're mostly entrepreneurs. Located in close proximity to the 5 Points intersection, we are in both council districts D and E. And we're home to a number of iconic destination businesses you probably recognize, such as the incredible Rialto Theater. Our district is blessed by having so many creative, dedicated, and courageous owners and operators working so passionately to achieve their dreams while providing jobs for a lot of very loyal employees. And in addition to our volunteer leadership team that includes Jean Martin, Ann Downey, and Holly Tehan, we are extremely lucky to have such trailblazers as Tim White, who helped create and form the current Hayes Barton Pharmacy, and David Benson of Third Place Coffee, who, along with Jean Martin, were founders of our association. Also, I'd like to make special mention of Larry Carter, owner of Lulu's, where numerous first responders were fed at no charge during this pandemic period. It's hard to believe that it's only been about a year since we attended our first Alliance Affiliation Group meeting, at which we received an extremely sincere and inspiring welcome from everyone present. Compared to all the other Alliance Group members represented here today, our 5 Points Association is clearly a rookie, and we're still just practicing in the batting cages while the others are playing big league ball. But we're doing our utmost to improve, and everyone from the Office of Economic Development and Innovation and all the other Alliance affiliations, including the Raleigh Chamber of Commerce and the Greater Raleigh Convention Visitors Bureau, have continued to advise, encourage, and support us immensely, as well as pray for us, I'm sure, for which we are eternally grateful. Probably our most notable achievement thus far is related to our objectives of revitalizing and improving our infrastructure, public spaces, storefronts, interiors, and our business operations. And the achievement that we are most proud of to date is the selection of 2 of our businesses to be awarded a building upfit grant by the city. This delivered a much appreciated confirmation of the city's tangible and meaningful support of our district businesses in an atmosphere comparable to a very successful public-private partnership. Now, what is particularly special about our business district? Because we were created in the 1910s and 1920s, our district can provide a historic gateway for visitors en route to Raleigh, downtown, Glenwood South, and other parts of the city, very similar to what you might experience in many other communities across the United States. This should meaningfully contribute to campaigns such as the Wish You Were Here theme by providing memories that will inspire return visits and word-of-mouth recommendations, encouraging friends and acquaintances to visit Raleigh. For example, this fall, we are celebrating our 100-year anniversary of the Hayes Barton community. So thank you for your time this afternoon and your support. And I assure you that we will be working hard so we can hit some doubles, some triples, and even some home runs to help contribute to the betterment of all our Raleigh stakeholders. It's now my distinct pleasure to introduce Larry Miller, the president of the Glenwood South Neighborhood Collaborative. Larry?
Good afternoon. My name is Larry Miller, and I'm president of the Glenwood South Neighborhood Collaborative, or GSNC. GSNC is an organization composed primarily of businesses and residents located in the Glenwood South neighborhood. We currently have 780 members, 436 of whom are residents. Another 222 are associated with businesses, and 122 are friends of GSNC. Our membership is free. We have an 18-member volunteer board that meets monthly. And we were established in 2013. Our mission is to empower residents, merchants, and community-based organizations to work together to maximize the vitality and appeal of Glenwood South as a neighborhood that is attractive to residents and visitors. One of GSNC's original functions was to help in the creation of the hospitality district in Glenwood South. Working with the city of Raleigh, Raleigh Police Department, business owners, and residents, GSNC facilitated the crafting of a procedure to deal with late-night noise issues in Glenwood South. While this process is less than perfect, at least it provides a procedure for addressing this issue. GSNC's areas of interest have expanded considerably since its humble beginning. An area of which I am particularly proud is that we promote public art and beautification projects. We bring residents together at local businesses where we create community art. In the past, this has involved the creation of origami cranes and butterflies that we hung on community peace trees, crocheting snowflakes that we hung on trees along Glenwood Avenue, weaving sleeping mats out of plastic bags for homeless folks and immigrants, and knitting scarves that were wrapped around trees on the Capitol grounds this past Christmas, and then later cleaned and donated to shelters. We expand commercial activity for merchants through events and other activities. We hold an annual event called the Glenwood Fair, a taste of Glenwood South, which highlights local restaurants and businesses and is a fundraiser for local charity. We also hold neighborhood mixers at new restaurants to promote their business. Another important function that we have is two-way communications. We conduct surveys and gather facts about various issues and then provide this information as testimony or comments to City Council or other government departments. These issues have included parking, walkability, zoning, safety, and beautification. We communicate with our members and the public by holding community meetings where we provide updated information on topics of interest to our neighborhood. We also send out emails and newsletters and maintain an active social media presence. In closing, I just want to say that while our organization may be small in geographic coverage and membership, we provide intimate neighborhood advocacy for the businesses and residents of Glenwood South. Thank you for this opportunity to appear today. Next up is Tara Robbins from Midtown Raleigh Alliance.
Hello, good afternoon, Chairman, Mayor, and Councilors. I'm Tara Robbins from the Midtown Raleigh Alliance, and I think this is a real special day, an opportunity for sharing and collaboration for our economic development goals. So thank you for hearing us today. EMRA is a tax-exempt nonprofit created in 2011 to give a voice to this thriving part of the city that was also quickly becoming a destination. With much of Midtown already designated as a density overlay district, we knew the growth was going to come and that vision and guidance was really going to be necessary to have our best future. Our group is made up of businesses, small and large, neighbors, schools, churches, nonprofits, and other local and regional partners. We are not a municipal services district. We don't receive any public funds, and our sole funding is the dues of our members. Mobility has been a huge focus for us, so much so that our very first act as an organization was to meet with Mayor McFarland and then Planning Director Mitch Silver to discuss growth and suggest a corridor study. 8 years later, the plan has been approved, 70% of the funding secured through transportation bonds. And we believe that this transformative six ports plan will enhance the corridor experience for pedestrians and cyclists, vehicular travelers, and also incentivize the corridor for transit. And we really appreciate the city's help in recognizing this priority and partnering with us to address it. The MRA is also committed to developing future leaders, as evidenced by our annual scholarship award to college-bound Midtown seniors. And we are also engaged with the local art community through our yearly local art contest and exposure of local art on 27 high-visibility pole banners throughout Midtown. Midtown right now is about as exciting as it gets, with restorative redevelopment in the warehouse zoning areas like the North Side Center, which is behind the Wegmans along Industrial Drive up there, a large-scale mixed-use development like the Midtown Exchange, which is coming, and the stunning Walkable Midtown plan, which is currently in the Planning Commission. This plan includes a first-in-the-city waterfront district along Crabtree Creek. And this component of the plan really opens up tremendous opportunity for public-private partnerships, as well as a further unique destination for our city. We are here and committed to partner with the city to help realize all the components of this plan, and wish to thank all the planning and transportation staff for their support and access and partnership over the last several years as we developed these Midtown planning frameworks. So thank you for your time and your outreach. I speak for my other alliances when I say we're super excited about the future collaboration with this group in the city. And for the mayor, I think there are a few moonshots in our city. So I'm going to hand it over now to Philip Bernard with Person Street.
Thanks, Tara. Philip Bernard here with the Person Street Partnership, also called the PSP. We started the PSP as an offshoot of the Mordecai Traffic Committee to help improve Blount and Person Streets and Wake Forest Road, and to help with traffic calming and better pedestrian and bike access. We meet quarterly with our 100 partners, quite a few from Oakwood, Mordecai, Pilot Mill, and the surrounding neighborhoods, William Peace University, and of course, City Council and City staff. Our primary goal has been to revitalize the Person Street Business District through these traffic calming initiatives. Our biggest success or highlight is the Blount Person Corridor Project, which started initially with the study. Now, phase one, the road diet is complete, and phase two, the full two-way restoration is funded and in the planning stages. In the meantime, while these traffic changes were in the works, we worked with the Person Street businesses and property owners to revitalize this area into a vibrant downtown neighborhood business district. We've had visioning sessions, decorated the district with light balls for the holidays, and consistently bring city staff, the businesses, and our surrounding neighbors together to make these positive changes. In 2014, we received a Sir Walter Raleigh Award, and North Person Street was listed in USA Today's 10 up-and-coming neighborhoods in the U.S. Thanks for giving us the chance to be a part of this Greater City Business Alliance. And I'd like to introduce next from Shop Local, Jennifer Martin.
Hi, thank you all again for having us and taking time to listen. Want to give you a quick overview of Shop Local Raleigh, which is also known as the Greater Raleigh Merchants Association, started back in 1941. A little over a decade ago, we changed our name to be doing business as what you know today to be Shop Local Raleigh. We currently serve over 1,000 businesses in our membership directory. COVID obviously has had quite an impact on that, on those renewal numbers. And so we are working with a lot of businesses in our area, whether it is through networking events, is it through educational seminars, is it through one-on-one consulting with them, is it training them how to do social media, helping them learn their website, things like that to truly help locally owned independent businesses have a competitive advantage over their big box competitor. We currently serve all of Wake County. A large majority of our membership is all located here in Raleigh, and a majority of that membership is all also based in downtown. We are continually working on programs that'll help serve our membership, whether it be through our co-op programs. We work on doing co-op programs through doing healthcare, group health, to give small businesses that advantage. If it's dental programs, we worked with a couple places in town to do some vision programs for them. And then we'll also work with them as far as advertising, group discounts, negotiating special rates for them, whatever we might be able to do to help the locally owned independent business owner to have that advantage and be able to help them navigate through the waters. One of the other things that we are very passionate about in our community is believing that in order to effectively connect business and community together and to get people to understand that long-term, the importance of shopping local, the reasons why, and the reasons that you should support our locally owned businesses is through the way we found that has been successful to do that is through the use of events. So holding events in our community is a strong way that we have been able to bring people out, encourage them to do spending, but also get the businesses an opportunity to connect with consumers to have that chance to really kind of be one-on-one together and understand the importance and connection of community. The Raleigh Christmas Parade is one of our large events you're probably very familiar with. Broogaloo, which is a 2-year in a row #1 ranked by USA Today Best Craft Beer Festival in America. And last year we introduced Falling for Local, which was our next big event, which unfortunately, again, can't happen this year, over at Dix Park in partnership with the Parks Department. And then monthly, we do pop-up events to give those without brick and mortars or those with brick and mortar and low advertising budgets the opportunity to come together and set up and sell their wares at pop-up market style events. So one thing I think that we have been very successful at is there's no shortage of events and opportunities, ways for us to connect. We constantly want to be a community partner and see how we can engage and connect to keep our community strong and build character here in Raleigh. So thank you for that. And I'd like to go ahead and turn it over to Jeff Murison of the Blue Ridge Corridor and Hillsborough Street.
Good afternoon. I'm Jeff Murison, and I serve as the Executive Director of the Blue Ridge Corridor Alliance, which is a coalition of stakeholders who have been working together for over a decade to facilitate the continued redevelopment of Southwest Raleigh. Around 2010, the primary stakeholders came together to work with the City of Raleigh to complete the Blue Ridge Corridor Plan, which identifies a path forward for the community. That plan was adopted by the city in 2012. Soon after, the stakeholders approached the Hillsborough Street Community Service Corporation for advice about how to continue the progress on implementing the plan. Ultimately, the stakeholders agreed to create the alliance and to hire the corporation to administer the work of the alliance. The alliance was created in the fall of 2014 and is a contributor-funded organization. Last year, it had about 30 contributors, including such public organizations as the City of Raleigh, NC State, Rex Hospital, Centennial Authority, and the NC Museum of Art. Also contributing are private corporations such as Dominion Realty, York Properties, Highwoods, along with a number of local merchants such as Burke Brothers Hardware, Burn Boot Camp, as well as local residents who are also contributors. The primary strategic goals of the Alliance are to support the continued economic development of the greater corridor area in partnership with the city and the city's Economic Development Office, and to support investments by the city, county, and state that improve the multimodal transit networks. The past 2 years have been especially positive, with many announced new projects, such as the I-440 improvements and grade separation project at the intersection of Blue Ridge Road and Hillsborough Street. Bandwidth future headquarters will be located on Edwards Mill Road, the renovation of PNC Arena, and Rex Healthcare's new cancer treatment facility. However, the most transformative project was just announced this summer. For over a decade, the Alliance has been advocating for enhanced use of the state-owned property across from the North Carolina Museum of Art. This summer, it was announced that the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services and its 4,000 to 5,000 of its employees will be relocated off of Dix Park to a new campus on that property. Design is underway for that campus, and the Alliance is actively participating in that process, advocating for public-private partnership that will result in a mixed-use campus with HHS as the anchor tenant. We hope the design will add value to the corridor and the existing stakeholders, such as the Museum of Art, the stadiums, the fairgrounds, recs, our local parks, and greenways. These are exciting times for Southwest Raleigh. We look forward to working closely with our partners as this part of our city continues to develop as a unique destination. Shifting roles, I primarily serve as the president and CEO of the Hillsborough Street Community Service Corporation, also known as Live It Up Hillsborough Street. The corporation is a local, independent, nonprofit organization created in partnership with NC State and the property owners, merchants, and residents around Hillsborough Street. It was created as an outgrowth of the Hillsborough Street Partnership, which was a voluntary group of stakeholders committed to an improved corridor. The partnership advocated for a new streetscape plan and the creation of a municipal service district. The city embraced both and created the Municipal Service District, which started providing services in 2010 and invested about $30 million in the first two phases of the streetscape improvement. We have an ongoing contract with the City of Raleigh to administer the Municipal Service District's funds generated by the additional assessment collected from within the district. Our district is a 3-mile corridor, roughly from Irregardless Restaurant to the I-440 exit. We serve roughly 300 property owners, 200 merchants and businesses, as well as the 7,000 students and roughly 1,000 non-student residents who live within our district. We provide a full range of services and programs designed to support the continued development of the corridor as a sustainable economic market and a highly desirable destination in Raleigh. Over the past 10 years, our two biggest achievements have been about improving local relationships. In most university communities, the relationship between local residents, property owners, merchants, students, and the university itself can be especially challenging. This was certainly the case here. Over the past decade, we have worked especially hard at building trust and partnership and collaboration within the community. We do that to build community and a more harmonious environment. The other major accomplishment has been successfully leveraging our partnership with NC State. The university is by far our primary economic driver and is essential to the success of our economy and community. That has clearly been demonstrated during this pandemic when the students have been away. The university has been a fantastic partner, and we work hard every day to maximize the opportunity for win-win-wins in partnership with the university. Lastly, broadly speaking, we have three major goals: to be a national leader as a high-achieving town-gown community, to continue to diversify and grow our business environment, and to develop a 24/7, 365-day-a-year economic market. We look forward to continuing to build on our successes and work with our partners for another decade of growth. With that, I want to thank you for this opportunity, our partnership, our work with the city's Economic Development Office, and I'm going to now turn it over to our partners at the Downtown Raleigh Alliance, Bill King and Will Gaskins. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jeff. I really appreciate that. My name is Bill King. I'm the president and CEO of the Downtown Raleigh Alliance. Our mission is to advance the vitality of downtown for everyone. We do that through a number of different services. We provide safety ambassadors who patrol downtown almost 24/7. We've recently hired a social services ambassador who is a social worker who's helping move those in need on our streets towards services that'll help them. We provide events and activations such as our weekly Moore Square Market. We have public art and beautification. We had 7 murals put in downtown last year. We have 3 installations coming this fall, including 2 significant ones. We do marketing and communications, including our First Friday promotion and our upcoming Modified Restaurant Week. We do conflict resolution and consensus building when there are issues that arise in downtown to help make sure that we're able to get through those as a community. We do urban planning and transportation liaisoning. So when there's projects in downtown with the city, we work closely to make sure the community is aware and has input. whether that's the 2015 downtown plan or the recent north-south bike greenway connector. And of course, we do economic development, which is near and dear to our hearts. And so I want to focus on that work. And in doing so, I want to introduce our Director of Economic Development and Planning, Will Gaskins, who came to us from the great Hillsborough Street Community Service Corporation, where he was very well trained. And we appreciate having him here. And as he leads this work, I want him to walk you through it. Will, take it.
Thanks, Bill. So just going into a little bit more detail on some of our economic development programs and services. Some of those efforts include a focus on the storefront level, data analysis, problem solving, grants, promotions. On storefront recruitment, DRA plays a lead role, and we successfully brought 2 grocery stores to downtown, as well as numerous independent retailers. And our skills are going to be needed here as we come back and downtown emerges from COVID. One of those storefront programs is our pop-up activation. DRA has been activating vacant storefronts with pop-ups since 2015 and has helped 8 tenants find pop-up spaces in downtown. As a part of that pop-up program, we've partnered with Wake Tech and to focus on helping diverse entrepreneurs. We launched this program to help diverse entrepreneurs last fall, and we're looking to relaunch that program as soon as we move to phase 3. On data and analysis, we authored the 90-page State of Downtown report, just released this year's on Thursday. It's a well-sourced, comprehensive report on downtown's economy with trends and demographics and analysis. We also track everything from food and beverage sales to pedestrian traffic to occupancy rates on a regular basis. Bill mentioned problem solving. We've worked during COVID to help facilitate curbside parking zones, outdoor dining expansion, as well as finding ways to facilitate our business, creating parklets, pedlets, and providing them technical support to do so. On grants, we're currently administering a storefront revitalization grant. That application window is open now. And it's aimed at helping our businesses survive through helping fund their pivots, such as expanded furniture, more robust e-commerce sites, and other new methods for conducting business. We also oversee a retail upfit grant that has awarded grants to 16 retailers in downtown to help with their upfit needs. And then lastly, as Bill already mentioned, DRA does numerous marketing promotion programs from First Friday to Restaurant Week coming up, and we're adding more promotions in the future. With that, I'll now turn it over to Ashley Cagle, Assistant Executive Director, Wake County Economic Development and Vice President of the Greater Raleigh Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you, Will, and thanks everyone for having me this afternoon. I'm standing in for Michael Haley, who's our Executive Director, who couldn't join us this afternoon, but I appreciate you having me. Wake County Economic Development is the primary economic development organization for Wake County. We provide economic development services to all 12 municipalities and the southern portion of the Research Triangle Park. We are a program of the Raleigh Chamber. We do our work through 5 pillars: economic prosperity, talent and workforce solutions, brand awareness and competitive position, innovation and entrepreneurship, and regional collaboration and place development. Pretty much everything that we do is with an eye towards new jobs, capital investment, and inclusive prosperity. So we have been fortunate to have some of that activity during COVID. You all are well aware of Bandwidth and their 1,100 job announcement right at the start of COVID, and we were so happy to see that come to fruition. Recently, we've welcomed a South Korean textile manufacturer to Garner. They'll be manufacturing some PPE. And before the world got crazy, we welcomed InvestNet, an expansion of theirs in downtown Raleigh, and Microsoft expanded in Morrisville, adding 500 jobs. So jobs and investment is but one aspect of what we do. We also partner very closely with the city on our national media campaign. We have had a lot of success over this last year of the media campaign, landing stories in Forbes, CNBC, and Fox Business. We would not be very successful in recruiting and growing our companies here if we did not focus on talent. Recently, we completed what we call our regional skills analysis, which is a survey of businesses in the 15-county Research Triangle region. That's also a collaboration with the City of Raleigh. We received over 700 responses to that survey, asking businesses what their needs were going to be and what they anticipate their growth plans to be. We'll use that data to inform our work over the next 3 years. We also have really doubled down on diversity, equity, and inclusion, as you all know, and we recently completed our 3rd annual DEI conference. It was held over 3 days. I do believe it's the largest event the Chamber has ever hosted. We had over 800 participants, which was very exciting for us that topic is so popular. And lastly, Innovate Raleigh, which became a program of ours about 2 years ago, and we are so enjoying having Bridget Harrington on our team. A highlight from Innovate Raleigh this last year has been their partnership with the NNO to highlight local entrepreneurs and startups, and that yielded over 100 stories locally. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Veronica.
Guys, that's wonderful. Thank you so much. I'm always invigorated when I hear stories of our alliances, how folks are doing, and the work that our alliance leadership is taking forward in each of our regions. Chairman Melton, would you like to see if you or the committee would have any questions or any engagement or follow-up before we move to the questions? Just wanted to check in.
Does anybody have any follow-up? Mayor Pro Tem Branch.
Excuse me. First of all, thank you all for your work and what you do. It's because of your work that small businesses have their opportunity to grow and flourish. And big businesses want to come here, which then foster really more small businesses in our community. But one of the questions I have is we have, Black Dollar and the work that they're doing. And that work is because we have a population in our community that has not had activity or opportunities to grow and flourish. So my question or charge, because I don't think all of you will probably be able to answer this, is what within your range of scope, within your scope, have you done or will you be doing to help foster diversity and ownership in the establishments in your area? I'm a Raleigh native. I've been here for the last 42 years. I've seen the growth, I've seen the changes, and I've seen, there's parts of that you all represent that honestly people who look like me weren't welcomed. What is happening to change that narrative so that people feel welcome? And I close with this conversation I just had last week with some friends of mine who they're older than me, but they went to NC State. And they said when they were at NC State, they never went to Cameron Village. They never felt welcome at Cameron Village. So not to point out Cameron Village because there's other parts that you all represent, but what are you doing to change the narrative?
This is Veronica. I'm going to jump in just to keep the flow. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Branch. I'm going to ask Johnny to jump in. Pat, I feel like you might want to respond and share. And then if I could just see a hand of another alliance member. We were keeping the responses to 3 each. I also see Jennifer. So can I ask Johnny, Pat, and Jennifer to respond to Mayor Pro Tem's question?
Yeah, sure thing, Veronica. And thanks for that question, Mayor Pro Tem Branch. I think the first part is, including us in these alliances. I think having us at that seat at the table, if you will, we've done a couple of things this year as far as programs and initiatives concerned, but I think one of the biggest things we are proud of is connecting a demographic of business owners to information directly from the city that they may not otherwise have been connected to. We've had several business owners who've, just told us about they've been selected in the Launch Raleigh, or different types of programs that have come from the city that we were able to get to them. And again, I think that's one of the biggest things. And outside of that, when we have those business owners, because a lot of the alliances that are represented here today are representing physical space, physical areas around Raleigh. So when we have business owners that are looking for space to acquire, they're looking to take their business to the next level by acquiring some space or looking for funding. This group here, they've jumped, really fast to help us out and to take on the issues or the opportunities, I should say, for those business owners. I know David, I know Will with DRA. Again, these folks have, essentially allowed us to funnel in African-American business owners and allow them to help them and get to the next step. So I think it starts with us being included here. And Veronica's team, the other alliances have been more than willing to listen to us, hear what the feedback is coming from that demographic, and they've responded accordingly. So.
Pat, you want to follow that up? Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you, Veronica.
You good?
Sure. Hi, all. It really hurts my heart to know that anyone wouldn't feel welcome in Cameron Village. But we're realistic, and we know that we have a perception, which I don't think necessarily matches the reality. Part of the strength of this organization is developing partnerships with different entities that are going to help just erase that path. And we're committed to doing that. We want to be inclusive to all the time.
Thanks, Pat. And Jennifer, will you round us up on that one?
Sure. Thank you. And one thing I think too is, like Johnny hit the nail on the head there, is I think Johnny and I have developed a very special relationship through the last 6 months, 8 months or so, especially working through these alliances. Lots of late night text, early mornings, calls. And one of the things that's important to us is, as an association, is that we do represent all of Wake County. And it is important for us to include, as long as you're locally owned and independent, and even if you're not locally owned and independent, we often end up working with helping you, whether it's with franchise questions, if it's helping you connect on how to market. It is important to us that we try and help all small businesses in our community, regardless. And so from the beginning, we've been working with Black Dollar. I think it's important that we forge that relationship together. But it's also, whether it's mentoring Johnny and Kayla, whether it's talking with them, when they came out with their Groomers Fund, it was reaching out to Johnny on, hey, Johnny, we have 40,000 followers on Instagram. Can we use those followers to help promote what you're doing and help make that message, stronger? And that was something that we do without question. Giving Black Dollar a membership. We are membership based. It is $100 a year. 50 for nonprofits. We try to keep it very affordable. And for those businesses that maybe if cost is a restriction, we're willing to go out and find someone to help sponsor that cost to try and cover that, because we don't want that $100 a year to be restrictive to anyone. And so I think that's a couple things with us that we have really tried to work hard and connect in, is knowing that we want to be open and accepting of everyone. We've worked on diversifying our board more and making sure that we create a space and environment, not only as an organization ourselves, but with these other alliances, to get the word out that we're all here to be partners with each other. We're here to help each other. And all of us working together truly resonates the success of Raleigh. And that's why we're here. And I think that's important to know that. And thank you for asking that, so that we can tell you that this is why we're here and why we're doing the work that we do, is to truly be open, be one community, and how can we all help each other grow and our businesses grow so that our community grows.
All right. Yeah, thank you all. And I'm here to help as well.
Thank you, Jennifer. And Mayor Pro Tem, just know that on the DRA pop-up shops, sometimes our office takes a back seat or behind the scenes, and we're absolutely comfortable with that. So sometimes we can find additional funding or support. So we were able to be a part of the downtown pop-up shop for women and minority-owned businesses, given that what Bill and Will talked about, the experience in downtown retail. And we hope to see that grow, and not just grow in downtown, but across our other regions as well. So our minority women-owned businesses have that hands-on experience in a retail space. I'm going to go ahead and move to the questions that we have, because I feel like some of this stuff is going to be covered again. Oh, I'm sorry, Councilmember Knight. Yes.
I want to speak at some point, Mr. Chair, whenever that is. If we're, I like to ask some questions and comment. So whenever we'll continue on that, or go with what Veronica wants to do and come back. Either way is fine.
I think towards the end we had planned to sort of have it be a little less structured, but I mean, we can go. Why don't you go ahead and ask your question, and then we can. We're flexible.
Okay, I'll wait. Yeah, I just want to have a little time too. This is my first time before getting to speak to everyone. Thanks.
Great, thank you. I'll pose a couple of questions, and then I'll wait, and then hear some. I'll open up for dialogue. Then Mark Weldon will pose 2 questions, and then we're going to turn it back over to Chairman Melton to have just kind of an open conversation. So we're going to follow up with, during these challenging times, how has this affected your practice or your business model? And we're going to hear from Ashley, Pat, and Larry.
I think I'm going first on this question. So the biggest change or challenge that we've had is the decrease in social gatherings. So much of what GSNC does is social in nature. Events such as the Glenwood Fair, neighborhood mixers, community art projects, and community meetings have all been affected. We've needed to postpone and suspend in-person events, and this has impacted our fundraising for GSNC and the charities that we support. We've needed to convert our meetings to virtual gatherings. We've also had to pivot to focus on ways to help businesses by working with the City of Raleigh and DRA to create opportunities for outdoor dining for restaurants and implementing curbside pickup lanes and delivery service. And we want to commend the City of Raleigh and DRA for all the support that they've provided to our neighborhood businesses. We've also worked with the City of Raleigh and local restaurants to promote the use of masks and social distancing in Glenwood South. While we want to encourage foot traffic in our neighborhood with activation activities, we don't want to create an unsafe environment with large crowds, even if they may be outdoors. Finally, we continue to work with local businesses to identify sources of funding and other resources to help them make up for their loss of business revenue. This is a reversal from the past when GSNC could count on local businesses to help fund community events and activities. Now we're trying to help them stay afloat. All right, now I want to turn it over to Pat Boyle from Cameron Village Merchant Association to answer the question.
Well, nothing is usual and customary anymore. We supported our merchants as they went digital, and they really exploded onto social media. They established online sales, virtual window shopping, private appointments, whatever else they could think of to help keep the communication lines open between the stores and the merchants. Dining moved to pickup. We provided targeted spaces, and the restaurants got really creative. They started with special meals, grocery items, drink packages, whatever they could kind of put together that would make it new and exciting and much more consistent for the customer to come back and back to. CVMA created social and on-site marketing messaging that was welcoming and calming, positive and uplifting. Some of our words were welcome back to the village, get neighborly, make someone's day. But at the same time, I kind of drew this short straw here because we need to address the ongoing mental toll that COVID has taken on business and also our each individual members. There is an underlying state of uncertainty and fear. And we can see this just as you talk to them. Just yesterday, I had a conversation with one of our restaurant owners, and he said that if there was another shutdown, that's it. He would close all 3 doors, and these are 3 local restaurants. Merchants with rent renewals, they're all putting them off as far as they can, mostly to second quarter 2020. So I guess we all just have to take a deep breath and realize that all this uncertainty exists in the small business community. But I do want to end on a high note or a higher note that together with the alliances, we're in this together. And being part of this group makes it easier on all of us and the communities we represent. Thank you. And now, Ashley.
Thank you. I think my answer is probably similar to everybody else on this call that, COVID has really changed everything for us. One thing that it really brought to light for us very quickly was how well we're able to show Wake County from a virtual standpoint. So the product that we're selling is Wake County, and while we have always done some of that online, we really have relied heavily on bringing people into our market, having in-person meetings, and to have to shift all of that, building tours, quality of life, incentives, negotiations, virtual has been quite an undertaking. I think we're doing it well, but that was something that really quickly we had to shift. Of course, all of our events and programming have gone virtual, such as the DEI conference that I just mentioned. We also have launched a recovery task force, and this recovery task force is comprised of nonprofit leaders, employers, small and large business employers, and then other sort of workforce and community stakeholders. And we are forming our plan based around stabilizing our economy, adapting our economy, and then how do we accelerate our economy. So we have explored lots of different areas through this, like Count on Me and See, the airport and what it's going to take to bring it back fully functioning, a number of things. But we are in the process of authoring our plan for the recovery task force, which will really help to chart what we're going to be doing specifically related to recovery over the coming year to 2 years. We got very lucky that we launched the regional skills analysis when we did. We literally started the skills analysis the day the stay-at-home order came out. So what originally felt like the worst timing ever actually ended up being a blessing, and we spent collecting data from businesses to know what they think their future looks like and how we can adjust workforce programming on the back end to support that. So what has it changed? Everything, but I think we're adapting and we're looking forward to moving forward. Thanks for the question, Veronica.
Thanks, Ashley. So, folks, I can kind of feel a desire to move into a more organic conversation, and Councilmember Melton was really clear when we were planning this. The structure is helpful. That gets us up and running, but he really had a commitment to open communication or kind of organic communication. We've got questions we're happy to pose. I'm almost feeling like with our we're just down to like 20 minutes. We may want to turn over to Councilmember Chairman Melton and just have you just open an organic dialogue as you had seen as your vision for this meeting in the first place. Are you ready to do that?
Yeah, that works for me. I know it was tough to try to do a roundtable discussion when we're all in tiny boxes on a computer screen, but 2020 and here we are, so we're making it work. I know Councilmember Knight had a question, so why don't we let Councilmember Knight pose the question? And Veronica, for purposes of facilitating at least some sort of structured discussion, maybe we could do the 3 people respond or show of hands and just keep making sure that everyone has an opportunity to contribute and be mindful of time as well. So Councilmember Knight, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm incredibly excited to get to have this conversation and this meeting. I appreciate all the work that you all are doing at this local and community level. Obviously, the timeliness of all this with what's going on in the city and the community and the country is so important because y'all are the ones who are going to help us lead us through this. Sorry it's taking this long for us to be able to have this conversation. So I think as Veronica knows and Jim knows and Jeff Merson knows, I'm very excited about the concept of these hyper-local business alliances. And when I think of it, though, it's obviously interacting with everybody that's living and working in these areas. So I think these are the sort of, for a city like ours that's growing, take the pandemic aside, and the future that we have, I think these are really going to be important. And I've talked to some of you and very interested in expanding this idea, these concepts across the city. There are lots of different business nodes, if you will, neighborhood nodes that I think could use these type of business alliances. I represent District E, which is sort of runs from 5 Points, Glenwood, Glenwood's, you look at it as the spine out to Briar Creek. So it's very linear and long, but there are a lot of different places. I like the uniqueness of each one. You're hyper local, and so you're organic in a lot of ways, which is great. And I wonder if and again, I know there's just a few of you that are MSDs, but in terms of thinking about expectations across the alliance, and I hope y'all are communicating often or all the time, because giving best practices and thinking what's working for y'all and what's not. I hope that's happening too, and I hope we're supporting that in some way at the city level. But in terms of more formalization, to where there is going to, for example, what Corey had to say about equity issues, so that all the alliances are sort of, there's a floor that they are meeting certain levels of expectation, not only from their members, but also from people that live near where these alliances are, and from the rest of the city. And so I think that's something I'm interested in talking a little more about. Again, not trying to take away the organicness of these alliances, but also, is there some sort of floor levels that we want to make sure that they all have? Sorry.
You may need to repeat portions of what you were saying. Unfortunately, the parts where I think there was the specific subject matter or topic you wanted to discuss, that is where your audio cut out. So we understand you want a discussion, we just don't know about what.
That's a bummer. I'm sort of babbling, but that shows my excitement about these alliances and the potential of them, of the good work you've done. In terms of formalizing in some ways what the expectations are of the individual alliances. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. And so that they are sort of, if you go in this part of the city and are working with this alliance, that you're going to have this as sort of the standard for them. And again, I know each one's a different size, a different amount of money that's involved, but anyway, it's something to think about to help more legitimize them in some people's eyes too, I think. So go ahead, I'll leave it there.
Councilmember Knight, I'm happy to take that from an organizational perspective, but happy for our colleagues to raise your hand and we'll get called on as well. Jim Green and I were just talking about this not 3 weeks ago. The value of bringing the alliances together was unplanned going into these crisis. This group has been coming together for more than, since I came on board 2.5 years ago. That was one of the first opportunities that we identified as strengthening, and that was this group. So it's amazing this group was already together and well gelled by the time we went into the crisis, and this is the group that responded immediately. So the value is clear. Now, how do we create a business alliance program, invite other alliances, stimulate other interests from other areas of the city? For example, we don't have a Southeast Raleigh Business Alliance. That's not a blind spot, it's a gap. Where are other areas? Is this a shopping center based, a shopping destination based kind of invitation? Lots of good questions that we're going to turn to this group to help us create kind of a business alliance playbook. How do we create, welcome, and make sure our city's covered in a way that has the hyper-local support all the way to citywide, but also regional connection? Do others have a comment or a response to that? Jeff, was that a peace sign or was that me calling on you?
I'm happy to help it.
Go ahead, Jeff. Just let me say, as you're answering, I think, this council is very interested and invested in community engagement. And I think these are platforms.
Your audio is bad again. Why don't let's jump in and then
let me start again. Can you hear me now? We're very interested in community engagement. I think this is somewhere. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
You just keep drifting out and you're not consistent.
Councilmember Knight, let's let Jeff jump in with the answer and maybe try to work on your audio a little bit.
Jeff, did you want to hop in here?
Sure. So an area that we could explore is a very popular program that's modeled in most states called the the Main Street program. it's started as an academic approach to identify focus areas, typically like events, economic development, and community engagement. That's pretty standardized, formulaic, right? And that gets to your question of how do you create sort of a foundation of knowledge and best management practices. And that's pretty common across the country. North Carolina has a Main Street program. They're typically targeted at small communities that start as volunteers, organically grow in participation and accomplishments, and then sort of escalate up the chain of formality as organizations. And so that would be a great starting point.
Thank you, Jeff. Very familiar with Main Street. In fact, when I was Director of Economic Development in downtown Ferguson, Missouri, that's exactly the framework we use to help Ferguson launch its downtown. So that's the kind of tools that we could look to this team to help us, everything from the town gown, the downtown associations, and other like geographically focused business alliance frameworks and theories. I think we could actually bring together very well here and to help each of our current alliances strengthen as well as grow new ones where needed. Mayor, did you have a question?
Yes, I did. Talking a lot about our small businesses, and there's been a real focus on trying to help them survive not only COVID, but also the protests and the riots that occurred downtown. I've heard from some of you with lots of complaints about the way the city handled this. What I am looking for and would love to hear from you is solutions. What are some of the things that we can do to help our small businesses? We are considering reduced parking fees. We started the outdoor expansion program and seating based on feedback we got from people downtown. We have been working with the Downtown Raleigh Alliance on some very specific grant programs. We have the facade grant program. There's a number of things we can do, but what are you hearing from your members in terms of their needs, aside from us giving them cash?
Mayor, thank you for that question. I'll tell you, that was absolutely one of the questions that we had on our list. So if I could ask Jennifer, Tara, and Bill to go ahead and respond, and happy to keep that question open if others just feel moved by the way the mayor framed the question, that you want to make sure that you have a chance to respond. So let's start with Jennifer, followed by Tara, then Bill, and we'll pick it back up from there.
Thank you. And you hit my love, my passion is events. I really do. I know that sometimes the city, we can have a love-hate with events, but it's got to be the right event. It's got to be an event that draws people, which now the flip side is we're in COVID, we can only have group crowd sizes. We as an association would absolutely love to start having conversations about how do we throw the biggest Raleigh reopening party, if you will. How is it? Do we do it socially distant? Do we do it? Is it at Dick's? Is it downtown? Is it certain streets that we block off to where we can have X number of people spaced out along that? The ideas and opportunities, I think right now, the world is our oyster on this, but it's part of it is us starting to have these conversations. And I would love to have more of these conversations, whether it be with this group or if you have a subset group, on how do we plan for truly the reopening? How can we, going through our special events office, there's, a 30-day minimum window right now when you apply for an application to have an event. Maybe it's considering having events that are already lined up in the hamper there, the hopper there, that we don't have to go through that process. Maybe it's, talking about avoiding that 90-day process. It's having ideas and plans in place that we can already talk about, things that are super creative, things that will put Raleigh on a map of how Raleigh is redoing their grand reopening to revitalize their city and bring it back. And I think that's something that I know personally I'm super passionate about, and I talk about events all day long, but events bring people out. They bring spending, they create community, and it's about us creatively figuring out how to do that, whether it's virtual, whether it's in person, but having those conversations now to be prepared to do that is something that I would love us to see. And parlaying back on the little question a little bit, Councilor Knight, is I think is even though we don't have specific alliances all throughout Raleigh, there are several of us that do cover, Wake County or all of Raleigh proper. And it's the biggest thing we hear all the time is people don't know that we exist. They don't know that us as resources are here. And I think part of this call too, to answer your question, Mayor, is all of us are coming to say we want to have these conversations. We want to come with ideas. How can we best do that to get those ideas to you to continue this conversation to plan Raleigh's big grand reopening? And I'll go ahead and pass it on to Tara.
Hey, thanks, Jennifer, and thanks, Marion, for that question. I think that, sometimes if you have an employee, they just, sometimes they'll sit you down and talk to you, and the truth is they just want to be heard. They just want someone to listen to them. And I recently had some conversations with Councilor Buckman about the business community in his district, and after the unrest and the a certain sense of being forgotten out there during all of that going on, and what could he do to kind of make it known that the council really is interested in business experience right now. So I know that he's moving on with a series of listening sessions. And I think that's awesome. But we also, I think this council and this committee has a great opportunity here to create an ongoing dialogue with the business community, whether we want to call it listening sessions or actually have like a small business roundtable or something, so that businesses out there know if something happens or if there's an event, they have got a hard and fast channel to let the council, to let the city know what their experience is. I mean, their experiences are different, and sometimes they are unique, but they're still having them. And I think they just want to be heard right now. They want to know that this council and this committee and all of us are here working together, because I think everyone is looking forward to reopening and the recovery. And I think that working together and then knowing they're heard is going to make it that much easier. So that's it, and I'll hand it over to one of them.
Thanks, Tara, and thank you, Mayor Baldwin. I'll mention something simple that you even mentioned in your question, and that's work with us to incorporate some of those recent pivots and changes in response to the crisis, and to turn them into more longer-lasting policies that are more durable and help our businesses as the effects of the pandemic linger. You mentioned specifically outdoor dining expansion. I'd also say curbside management with curbside pickup zones. Necessity brought many different city departments and outside of the city departments together with stakeholders to come up with those innovative and effective measures to improve the policy. And we were able to cut necessary steps, waive some of the burdensome requirements, and make the process more transparent, more approachable to businesses. And work that would have previously taken several years of process was accomplished in a few weeks. And that's a testament to the hard work that the city staff put in those weeks. But those measures are currently temporary and can coincide with the state of emergency. So simply, how can we partner to continue those successes? Can we bridge the gap from those temporary measures into more durable and agile city policies?
Thank you. I don't know if Jen saw this or not, but the governor has loosened restrictions on large outdoor venues, including stadiums. It's going to allow a capacity of 7% for large venues with a seating capacity of more than 10,000. That's effective October 2nd. But also, you all might be interested knowing he announced a $40 million fund to assist small businesses with rent payments, utility payments, and other types of measures, which, quite frankly, is really good news. Now, all of you need to make sure that we communicate that to our business community.
Now, I will tell you a huge value of the folks around this table is when the Business Alliance sends out a communication via their many channels, almost 500,000 people are reached. This is one of the city's largest megaphone partners right here. And these folks are not shy. When we have a message, a tweet, a post, social media, email, newsletter, we go here first, and that the word gets out. And that has been substantiated by this spike in the building upfit grant applications and the connectivity with our office that we've seen literally in the last, quite honestly, 3 months. So that is a huge value that this organization brings collectively.
Can I ask one question, Mr. Chair?
Yes, please. And then I have one I kind of just want to close out with. Go ahead.
Okay. I was on a call with the Harvard Bloomberg Leadership Cooperative the other day. They had a woman on there who specializes in small business. We talked about different programs. She said, I think it's too late for grant programs, whatnot. What she was recommending and what her biggest fear is that banks' loan money will dry up. And her suggestion was to bring our banking community together and foster this concept, I guess, of we're all in this together. And then providing introductions to small businesses who need it, vice versa, whatnot. What do you think about that idea? I'd just like some feedback. And if you want to think about it and just reach out to me, that's fine too. But for boots on the ground, is that what anybody else is hearing, or have those concerns been expressed?
I'm calling Tara, Ashley, if you have a thought on that. And then is there another hand that we can get a third voice on this, and we'll get Jeff. And then if some other folks are inspired to jump in, we can. So Tara, Ashley, and Jeff.
Thanks, and thanks for the question. I have a lot of the large banks in my membership, and I think what we're hearing, they're all committed to certain individual programs that they're doing within their company, their bank, their corporation. I think what would be really beneficial is to get hard and fast descriptions of those programs when they hit the ground, who they're eligible for, how you get a hold of them, how they work, because we hear a lot of this bank is doing this bank is doing this. So maybe pulling that together could be something that we could do to be helpful. I had not heard from any of those people yet that they're concerned about lending, constrictions.
Thanks for the question, Mayor. I had not heard that idea specifically. However, the idea of convening our banks or banking partners, to me, is very much in the spirit of how we tend to do things around here, especially as I think about our work through the chamber. Through COVID, we've convened all of our realtors and developers, as an example, to understand space availability, large consolidations that may be taking place, and using that information. I think that the conversation couldn't hurt to hear how maybe we could, as a community, and maybe as a community of banks, better meet the need. I do think that from our business recruitment and expansion work, we are hearing a good deal of anxiety from businesses, small and large, just about how long this will continue to go on, though we are slowly reopening. We're also talking about, we're looking at a presidential election year, and that makes people nervous. I think there's just a lot of uncertainty out there, and I think that's keeping people from being as confident in their business as they would otherwise. So to me, it seems like something that makes a lot of sense to do, and we are happy to explore that further with Veronica and her team.
Thank you, Ashley, and then Jeff.
Sure. I'll just I'll add that I think it's worth exploring, certainly. I think what we hear from our merchants is just the lack of customers, right? What they really need is the customers to get back to getting out and spending and spending locally. The banks have been super helpful. And so, bringing them together, our merchants wear a lot of hats, right? They are doing like 6 different jobs all at once, trying to be sole proprietors. And so it's hard for them to go around and shop banks. So maybe one clearinghouse, with the city, someplace, a universal source of information would be great. Speaking as a small business owner in the city, our bank has been really helpful to us. And so, we've had great experiences with our local banks. And it might be a little early, but if that's a trend that, maybe the city, because they've got access to future information, is seeing, then we could be ahead of the curve. And the other thing I wanted to answer to the previous question about, supporting the other businesses. One of the things that's really been great was when the Economic Development Office really created a network within the city of key leaders within each department. And so, it's, again, hard for our merchants to reach into the city, but we get to know those folks and can be a connector for them. And so that, in my opinion, is a huge resource and service that the city is providing to us and we can provide to our merchants.
Thank you, Mayor. That's our ED&I liaison list. Every department leader identified somebody in their department to lead responses when we have a business question or a business has a question. So we have a contact person across all departments.
Okay. Veronica, I'd like to follow up with you and the chair on this once at a later date.
Yes, ma'am. I'll make note of that. And then Chairman Melton, the last few minutes, how did you want to spend those last few minutes together? You're on mute.
I certainly want to be mindful of everyone's time. First, I want to just give the opportunity to David or Mark. I don't think you were able to answer any of the questions. So if there's anything that you want to bring up and take the floor for a couple of moments, I'm happy to hear from you, or not to put you on the spot. If you were happy listening, then that is fine too. But I don't think you answered the question, so I want to make sure you had an opportunity to talk. So if you have anything you want to throw out, and then I've got sort of just a closing question. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, real quickly, back on the banking issue, it's sort of a two-way street. I know a lot of the banks, especially the regional smaller banks, from a staffing and energy level, they have to address some of these PPP loans that have to be repaid or not, forgiven, et cetera, et cetera. There's quite a number of programs and procedures they have to go through. And the point I'm trying to make is, I think either Jeff or Jennifer had arranged way back when. One of the great things our alliance have done is have webinars on things related to insurance and the grants and all this stuff. And one of them had to do with an accounting webinar that dealt with how to monitor the small business, monitoring their finances so they could respond to getting loans forgiven, et cetera. So the point I'm trying to make is it may be very valuable to hold up our end of the side with the banks, because they have their own issues how to deal with new loans, because they have to get rid of the current ones or forgive them or what have you. So it's quite a process. So I think bottom line is perhaps we could have another webinar that helps educate the small businesses across the board that have the PPP loans or other loans, grants, how to account for those and how to deal and do the paperwork, so we can expedite that and let the banks get back to real banking for the future.
Mark, do you have anything that you'd like to add to the conversation?
I'll just chime in. I'm pleased to have led what is now 52 biweekly calls with this team here. And I just hope that everyone's getting a sense of the mutual respect and collaboration of this evolving team. A lot of strong-willed leaders, to be sure, but I think what you're hearing today is we all share a deep love for this city and a commitment to make this a strong economy, prosperity for all. And we're going to do everything we can working with Veronica and our team here in the Office of Economic Development and Innovation. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Thank you for the time today.
And so just to close out, when we had initially thought of doing this roundtable, I think part of the intent was for y'all to help us understand ways that we can help cultivate innovation and cultivate development in the city and cultivate small businesses. I think something we all heard a lot during the last election is that it's too difficult to open a coffee shop. It's too hard to open a small restaurant, that there's too much red tape or overhead. And so as the body that can sort of adjust that red tape and overhead, I think we wanted to hear some of that feedback. And I know a lot of this call got centered on COVID because 2020, but our ears are still open to ways we can help small businesses beyond COVID and sort of emerging from COVID. And I liked the discussion we had about some of these best practices we've learned or short-term fixes, which ones and what makes sense to make them long-term pivoting type discussion. So I just want to close by saying that, our office of Edie and I, that's kind of our listening ear. And so Veronica, Mark, they're here. And so, we're receptive to the feedback, and if there's help us help you, sort of speak. And so I want this to be a discussion that continues beyond this committee meeting. I want it to be collaborative. I think now more than ever, we need to lean on each other. And so I just sort of wanted to end with putting a question out. Beyond COVID, what else can we be doing to help cultivate, innovation in small businesses in the city? And if you want to send ideas to us or to Veronica that we can then discuss in committee or with the full council, that was sort of the original hope of this meeting, though obviously the current times shifted the discussion a bit. And so that's all I really have. I know we're right up on time, a little over, so I will not keep everyone any longer unless there's anything that anyone would like to say in closing. No? Okay. Well, with that, I think we are adjourned, and thank you guys very much. And please, let's keep the communication going beyond this one meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you, council members. Thank you, Mayor Baldwin.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for your support on this also.
Thanks, man.